Mago.
Santa Sara de Cali. Muchos dicen que viene de una esclava o sirvienta de raza negra que tenían dos Marías que escaparon cuando Jesús murió de Jerusalén, ¿sí? Porque se los perseguía a los cristianos en esa época. Otra cuentan que en realidad es una persona que trajo María Magdalena, que cruzó en un bote sin remos para el lado de Francia, o sea, desde el puerto de Tiro hacia, ¿sí?, la Gascoña, o sea, la Francia, ¿sí?, y que ahí llevó el culto de la Virgen Negra. Sin embargo, otros cuentan en los textos gnósticos relacionados a Jesucristo con María Magdalena en la zona de la India y el Tíbet, enseñando sus conocimientos a los distintos maestros y aprendices de diferentes disciplinas religiosas y espirituales de esa época. Santa Sara de Cali, más allá del origen verdadero, es la patrona de todos los gitanos. Y el 21 de septiembre en la Doctrina Unificada celebramos, ¿sí?, el Día del Reino Cigano. Hoy te voy a decir el nombre de la Pomballira dentro de la Doctrina Unificada que gobierna el Reino Cigano. Y esa es Pomballira María Sofía. Es decir, es la Pomballira de la Gnosis, del conocimiento femenino universal. Es decir, aquella madre protectora de todo aquello que es fecundado o es traído a la vida. En esencia, tanto el mar como el río representan aspectos maternos de la naturaleza que también castigan, pero también protegen y nutren y generan vida. El pueblo cigano posee muchísimos misterios, tiene conocimiento sobre el mayoral, como lo entendemos en el mundo de la quimbanda o el mundo de Yu, pero obviamente son conocimientos que tienen que ver con mi familia, ¿sí? En este altar estamos del altar conjunto de las dos familias gitanas, tanto de Mariela como mía, ¿sí?, con nuestros ancestros, es decir, es un momento muy especial del año donde recordamos a aquellos que hacen posible que hoy estemos aquí hablando con ustedes. Así que extiendo mi saludo a toda la familia Bruno, ¿sí?, de la isla de Sicilia en Italia, ¿sí? Un saludo que desde allí vienen mis ancestros cíngaros y también a todas las familias Rodríguez de el departamento de Matanza en Cuba, que también por parte paterna son también mis ancestros. Así que bueno, este es un pequeño recordatorio que queríamos hacer junto con Mariela del 21 de septiembre, Reino Cigano. Sí, ¿es María Magdalena? ¿No es María Magdalena? Santa Sara de Cali. Lo vamos a ver en otro video y si te interesa que hable más sobre los ciganos, déjamelo en la caja de comentarios.
Bienestar espiritual que se siente real. Asunción, Buenos Aires.
En el principio, Dios creó los cielos y la tierra. Ahora bien, resultó que la tierra se hallaba sin forma y desierta, y el Espíritu de Dios se movía sobre la superficie de las aguas. Y hubo tarde y hubo mañana, un día primero.
Hoy vamos a hablar de un tema más comestible. Hoy vamos a hablar de la ley de la atracción, ¿sí? Lo que los gurúes de la New Age no quieren que sepas del asunto, ¿sí? Esta es una charla que después cuando termine el programa van a entender, ¿sí? Que yo suelo dar cuando hablo de este tema o cuando la gente toma mis cursos por WhatsApp, que le enseño en muy pocas semanas las 4 o 5 cosas fundamentales que necesitan, ¿sí?, para saber de su vida espiritual y desarrollarse y utilizar estas leyes universales que están ahí disponibles para que el humano empiece a desarrollarlas por su propio mérito, por su propio desarrollo. Así que hoy vamos a hablar de la ley de la atracción en un nivel relacionado como se ve desde la magia. Estas cosas que yo les voy a explicar son cosas que ustedes tienen que tener. Si las tienen desarrolladas antes de aprender a hacer magia y brujería, muchísimo mejor. ¿Por qué? Porque la mente va a estar mejor entrenada para tener mejor poder mágico, de mejor calidad, ¿sí? Hoy en el Sabbath número 69 vamos a hablar de cómo hacer para atraer a tu vida las cosas que querés y alejar las que no. Que en esencia eso es lo que busca la ley de atracción. La ley de atracción dice que uno atrae lo que desea. Pero a veces vienen cosas que no nos parece que nosotros las podamos desear. Bueno, en realidad sí, también las deseas, las cosas malas. Y eso lo vamos a explicar hoy para que entiendas cómo funciona la ley de la atracción y cómo se debe aplicar, ¿sí? Y también al final del Sabbath número 69, la entrevista que tuve con Kurtis, un mago ceremonial con muchísimos conocimientos arimánicos, maestro en artes marciales de Estados Unidos, que tiene su canal de YouTube. Es un mago al que conozco hace muchísimos años, hace casi 6 años que lo conozco, es más, he hablado con él personalmente. Ya ha salido esta entrevista, sí, en la parte, digamos, en la región estadounidense de YouTube, pero en este caso está traducida. Un saludo para Francisco Delgado, que me ayudó a traducir casi hasta el final. Pobre viejo, sin dormir 2 días, ha ido a trabajar para ayudarme a transcribir los subtítulos al español de España. Así, un saludo a Francisco desde Barcelona. Sabbath número 69, la ley de la atracción. Los que los gurúes de la New Age no quieren que sepas. Hoy es una cosa, ¿no? Mega mainstream, ¿sí? Títulos. El primer título tentativo que yo tenía era Introducción a la ley de la atracción para salamuerteros. Lo que pasa es que abarca a toda la gente, sea o no salamuertera. Entonces es un tema muchísimo más general. Para el salamuertero no, pero también es para los demás, para cualquier persona. ¿Sí? Cualquier persona que mire este video hoy se resuelve horas al pedo de lectura de libros que compraste a gurúes, cursos con audiolibros, membresías para acceder al chat con 4 preguntas, con cómo dinámicas de la atracción de la abundancia en la vida, con el profesor de la Universidad del Congo que te dice, paga acá 10.000, 20.000 dólares y yo le voy a decir cómo ser feliz. O sea, muchachos, lo de la ley de la atracción es verdad. Pero también hay todo, ¿no? Obviamente, un ecosistema que está muy bien. A ver, no lo estoy criticando, no estoy criticando estos sitios que venden estos servicios de espiritualidad, digamos, la espiritualidad, digamos, online, vía Netflix, ¿no? Estamos llegando a una interfase donde ya, digamos, las creencias son muy personales. Y está muy bien, estamos evolucionando. Eso es un signo de evolución social. Algunos dicen que no, pero yo digo que sí. ¿Sí? Puedo sonar medio de izquierda en esto, pero yo no creo del todo. Los desmadres son temporales. Después el sistema solo se autorregula, ¿sí? Solito. Entonces, estos conocimientos ya a esta altura del partido son conocimientos que tendrían que ser enseñados en las escuelas, ¿sí? ¿Por qué? Porque tienen que ver con el comportamiento constructivo de una sociedad occidental, que es competitiva, ¿no? Es el principio del capitalismo, que es administración de bienes escasos. La economía es eso, administrar bienes escasos. Se parte de la base de que los recursos son limitados. Hasta ahora, con el desarrollo humano con el que contamos, seguimos utilizando ciertos recursos naturales de forma arcaica, que producen un detrimento en la calidad de nuestro ecosistema natural que nos rodea. No logramos equilibrarnos con la naturaleza. Mente y materia no logran conjugarse correctamente. Y todas esas cosas de las que no nos hacemos en definitiva responsables, por más que todo el mundo salga a hablar sobre la protección del planeta, lo cual está muy bien y lo estimulo, ¿sí? Todas organizaciones que hablan de mejorar el ambiente son todas buenas organizaciones, no jodamos. A veces capaz que tenés alguna otra organización que se hace por un motivo, pero en realidad es por otro. Es posible, sí, por supuesto, no soy un idiota, pero quiero decir que las personas que buscan el bienestar del medio ambiente no son malas personas por lo menos. Están buscando preservar el recurso fundamental que tenemos, que es nuestro planeta. Y más allá de las necesidades que tiene este mundo en colisión, ¿sí?, en un devenir de una baraja final muy cerca, ¿sí?, hay olor a pastilla de freno en el mundo, estamos en una convergencia de conflicto global. Lógicamente, cualquier persona en su sano juicio va a estar de acuerdo conmigo en lo que estoy diciendo. Entonces, la ley de la atracción también afecta no solamente en lo individual, sino en lo colectivo. Que yo sea individualista no significa que esté cerrado a negar la colectividad y todo su tracto emocional, todo su tejido. En esos espacios de la conciencia humana colectiva o inconsciente colectivo, si vos querés, de una sociedad X, estos conocimientos le otorgarían a ese inconsciente colectivo una nueva conciencia de comprensión de cómo hacer, por ejemplo, mi patria, que los argentinos pensemos todos de una manera para producir un resultado en común que nos beneficie a todos. ¿Qué egrégora tenemos que crear? ¿Qué? ¿Lo de los egregores tiene que ver con lo de la ley de la atracción? Pero por supuesto, ley de atracción tiene que ver con tener la capacidad de traer a nuestras vidas las cosas que queremos que nos pasen y tener. Utilizando una nueva forma de pensar la vida y las cosas y nuestra forma de ver y percibir lo que nos rodea. Personalmente yo soy de las escuelas de Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. ¿Por qué? Porque a diferencia de los demás autores a posterior que confluyen mucho en la posguerra de la Segunda Guerra, los baby boomers, todo esto es parte de una educación sistemática de la sociedad baby boomer posguerra, Segunda Guerra Mundial, década del 50, donde se inculca a las familias actuar con cierta forma de comportamiento constructivo para el desarrollo de una conciencia colectiva ordenada, lo cual es maravilloso, ¿sí? Por lo menos es una forma de describir lo que tengo. No sé si es así precisamente, pero esos son los efectos. En esas épocas, digamos, asesores como Carnegie Hall y todo ese tipo de personas que son asesores de grandes personas exitosas, capitalistas exitosos, necesitaban darle un contexto y un sustento cabalístico a todo ese éxito. Y todos los capitalistas exitosos de Occidente concordaban en que todos hacían lo mismo sin saber si el otro lo hacía, pero que en esencia había 4 o 5 cosas que había que comportarse de una manera en la vida para que se produjeran resultados positivos para el crecimiento personal. Es decir, muchos empresarios importantísimos del siglo XIX y del siglo XX, en Estados Unidos específicamente, ¿sí? De hecho, todo esto de la ley de la atracción es una suerte de espiritualidad laica estadounidense por defecto. Entiéndanlo como un The Way of United States of America. A la manera de ellos, the world according to, el mundo acorde a cómo ellos perciben que debe ser un ciudadano del mundo occidental. Ejemplar, ¿no? Es decir, es muy bueno, porque es una cosa que está sustentada en valores cabalísticos y espirituales. Y eso no significa que practicar la ley de la atracción te haga hacer magia, pero sí obtener resultados, que es de lo que se trata el asunto y lo divertido e interesante que es el tema. Entonces, es una forma de pensar occidental, de cómo desarrollar una vida productiva en cualquier área en la que vos te dediques. Digamos que con este video te ahorro mucho tiempo de búsqueda sobre el asunto. Sí vamos a poder mencionar el trabajo de Bob Proctor, Rhonda Byrne con El Secreto, que obviamente abrió un juego nuevo, toda una nueva industria de producción de contenidos espirituales. O sea, trajo un ecosistema hermoso de redes de gente que busca el bienestar, que tiene sus lugares, sus spas, sus centros espirituales, es decir, ha florecido de forma maravillosa el paganismo espiritual, el panteísmo general de desarrollarse espiritualmente, desarrollo espiritual. Por ejemplo, sección que por ejemplo YouTube podría tener, o también solo, digamos, ponderar la idea de que hay bienes escasos, que los hay, por supuesto, y que tenemos que vivir toda la vida compitiendo para desarrollarnos. Bueno, la ley de la atracción es parte de las leyes universales. Son cosas que funcionan y están ahí para algún propósito en particular, y todo ser que alcance a comprender su dinámica puede utilizar para su crecimiento personal y el de los demás esas mecánicas universales para evolucionar a través de un sendero espiritual que quizás no tenga una máscara deífica. Y para esa gente hay espacio en la doctrina unificada, porque estas enseñanzas son, digamos, esto es una suerte de preámbulo de lo que va a ser la charla, por supuesto, en Buenos Aires, ¿sí? Fines de noviembre, principios de diciembre, la semana que viene les voy a dar la fecha definitiva, más tardar 10 días, así que ya empiecen a romper el chanchito, ¿sí? Para venir a verme en Buenos Aires. 3 días solamente voy a estar, así que aprovechenme porque después seguimos camino. Así que prepárense, Ley de la Atracción, día número 3 en Buenos Aires, el último día, va a haber un poquito más de gente, ¿sí? Se va a extender la capacidad hasta 50 personas máximo, ¿sí? Pero en los 2 primeros días 20 personas porque son temas extremadamente delicados y son para personas que los pueden pagar. ¿Sí? Es una información que nunca voy a regalar y se me ha prohibido hacerlo, y siempre que lo haga debo cobrar por ello, por lo cual esas 20 personas privilegiadas de los 2 primeros días son personas que han pagado para saber cosas que necesitan para su desarrollo personal, por lo cual se espera que sean personas que tienen una vida desarrollada, ¿sí? Digamos que trato de elegir a los mejores, ¿sí? Vos me decís, ¿vos elegís a las personas por su perfil? Sí, por supuesto. En eso soy 100% headhunter. Yo busco a los mejores. A los que dicen que pueden y pueden. Porque si dicen que pueden, tienen que poder. Entonces, si pueden pagarse un día sentados conmigo, es porque pueden hacerlo. Y porque pueden aprender algunas cosas que con lo que ya tienen desarrollado en su vida abundante, pueden inclusive optimizar su desarrollo personal. Y para eso no necesitamos un cursito online. Necesitamos conversar. Necesitamos mostrarle a la gente cómo funcionan estas leyes universales que están ahí, ¿sí? Disponibles para ser descubiertas, ¿sí? Y trabajadas a través de nuestra conciencia. Y como verán, no interviene ninguna cosa de concepto de Dios, por lo menos de momento, ¿sí? Estos son los fundamentos de lo que se llama comúnmente en el mundo de la nueva era y la espiritualidad, la visualización. La visualización es como la fe. En la Biblia dice que la fe es la expectativa de cosas por venir, aunque no se contemplen. La expectativa de las cosas por venir, aunque ahora no se contemple. Tener la certeza de que va a suceder algo en el futuro beneficioso en cualquier sentido. Puede ser espiritual, puede ser personal, esperanza, conectado con deseos de progreso, etc. Lo estoy haciendo lo más genérico posible. El cerebro no procesa en palabras, procesa en imágenes. En algún punto el cerebro puede que no distinga un recuerdo, digamos, una memoria impresa de alguna experiencia del día, ¿sí? Con los pensamientos en general. Pensamientos y experiencias se imprimen al parecer, lo digo así con muchísima prudencia, para no afectar a ninguna mente científica, ¿sí? Pareciera ser que el cerebro no distingue lo que ven los ojos, ¿sí? De la memoria o del recuerdo de los sueños. Todo parece alojarse en el mismo lugar y obviamente estamos en una era donde la gente está accediendo a conocimientos ancestrales de forma masiva, ¿sí? Con plantas sagradas, rituales chamánicos y obviamente en el medio un montón de gente que no sabe nada y que abusa de la ignorancia de la gente, ¿sí? Sectas, manipulación de personas, todo lo que te puedas imaginar en la viña del Señor. Pues bien, cursos online para descubrir esto, descubre el método el método el otro para ser rico, el esto. Entonces la gente, ¿qué es lo que quiere? ¿Ser feliz o ser rico? Porque ser rico es parte de la felicidad. No es la totalidad, pero es el fundamento. El bienestar físico, mental y espiritual y tener una vida más o menos decente es fundamental. Por lo cual, el uso de la ley de la atracción te permite esas cosas. Subir en la movilidad social a otra escala social. Si sos una persona de bajos recursos, tenés que lograr tener tu casa, tu auto y tu familia todos estudiando. Y tener un negocio. ¿Sí? Bueno, sí, Pablo, está bien, pero yo me levanto a las 4 de la mañana, miro tu programa de mierda y duermo 4 horas cada vez que miro tu programa de mierda y me tomo el 100 en el cementerio y tengo que laburar los domingos igual, Pablo. ¿Entendés? Por más que vos me digas eso, es muy lindo todo bien, pero gano 25 lucas por mes y de pedo que llego para pagar porque tengo un subsidio, que tengo los 2 pibes y tengo un primo que tiene un hijo electrodependiente que le cortan la luz. ¿Es verdad o no es verdad? Bueno, hay que atender a esa gente también. Hay que darles conocimientos genéricos que permitan que evolucionen, que tengan movilidad y que progresen. ¿Sí? Porque a nadie ya le importa el Estado. Y eso es malo también, porque trae anomia. Entonces, tenemos que tener cuidado con lo que queremos. ¿Sí? Porque una cosa es ser libres y otra cosa es el libertinaje. Otra cosa es tener un Estado eficiente y chiquito y otra cosa es no tener Estado ni ningún tipo de contención social para personas que tienen necesidad porque no a todos le va bien en la vida. Y eso también es una realidad. Entonces, como humanos, ¿cómo atendemos las necesidades de los humanos? Algunos dicen, no, hay que enseñarles a trabajar. Sí, pero ustedes explotaron a toda esta gente durante siglos para tener lo que tienen. Entonces tiene que haber una devolución. Y la devolución es haciéndoles aprender por el rigor. Bueno, muy bien. Apréndale por el rigor o lo seguís manteniendo en ignorancia. Porque la derecha, libertad, pero siempre y cuando siempre haya negros para que trabajen para ello. No puede toda la humanidad. No, porque los bienes son escasos, entonces si no podemos competir, no podemos desarrollarnos. Bueno, la ley de la atracción se pasa eso por las pelotas. El universo es ilimitado. Punto. La capacidad de afluencia que tiene un universo es ilimitada, no es escaso. Nosotros jugamos el juego de la vida en la escasez para desarrollarnos. Pero una cosa es entender esto así y otra cosa es marcarlo como una ley universal. Cuando en realidad son fuerzas en oposición. Acción y reposo. Saquemos los nombres de los dioses. Miren que no estoy hablando de ningún dios. Estoy describiendo procesos espirituales. Entonces la ley de la atracción atrae lo que vos querés o no querés. Basta de mentirle a la gente. Venite a mi curso y te voy a enseñar cómo podés atraer todo lo que vos quieras. Es que de hecho vos atraés todo lo que vos querés. Lo que sucede en la mente inconsciente del ser humano es que la mente inconsciente no entiende de sí o no. Solo entiende el sí, la orden directa. ¿Sí? Y en eso hay que darle la derecha a Ron Hubbard con Dianética. Un libro que para muchos que yo lo menciono van a decir, es el libro de la cienciología, Pablo, que es una secta, bla, bla, bla. Ese libro es descomunal. Me importa 3 carajos lo que me digan. Ese libro es fundamental. ¿Para qué? Para entender cómo funciona una mente. Para entender cómo es la mecánica de la parte consciente y de la parte inconsciente. Entonces significa que si nosotros, Pablo, le damos las órdenes correctas a nuestro inconsciente a través de ciertos rituales o meditación, podemos hacer como el inconsciente se conecta con el universo y trae las cosas que deseamos. Es el atractor de la manifestación en la materia de lo que deseas y de lo que no. No te dejes engañar. La ley de la atracción atrae todo lo que vos querés atraer. Y dentro de ese, todo lo que vos querés atraer, también está lo que no querés. Ejemplo, fuerte, mujer golpeada. No quiero que me peguen más. Lo que vos le estás diciendo al universo no es que no querés que te peguen más. Le estás diciendo al universo a través de tu subconsciente que vos querés seguir sintiéndote, estar pidiendo no querer que te peguen más. Entonces, para que eso pase, el universo, ¿qué hace? Te siguen pegando. No hay no en el mundo inconsciente. Solo hay sí. Solo hay impresión directa sobre el caos. No hay una interacción de dualidad. La voluntad se imprime sobre el caos y cuando se imprime se forma el orden. Primero por una mente superior, desglosada en mentes inferiores hasta la experiencia de la materia grosera. No mencioné a ningún dios, o los mencioné a todos. Entonces empezás a entender a los dioses y a estas fuerzas como funciones de la vida, con inteligencia, que aprendiendo a conocerlas en su mecánica, más allá de sus nombres o de sus rituales, podés darle las órdenes correctas a tu subconsciente. ¿Para qué? El subconsciente tiene la capacidad de conectarse con el mundo espiritual y con el universo en sí mismo para que haga las funciones que vos querés que haga. En esencia, vos estás dividido o dividida. La parte consciente que escucha este mensaje es la que está entendiendo lo que digo. La parte inconsciente solo escucha los sí que digo. Voy a poner un ejemplo de cómo distinguir cuándo es una brujería. Una brujería, por ejemplo, para hacer a un hombre impotente. De distinguir un accidente del inconsciente. Y en el libro de Dialéctica lo explican. Explican que un muchacho iba en bicicleta. Pasó un auto, lo tocó, cayó el muchacho, se pegó en la cabeza, quedó inconsciente. La persona se desmayó, pero el oído siguió grabando. El inconsciente, cuando vos te desmayás, se despierta y empieza a grabar toda la experiencia. De hecho, el inconsciente lo que hace es grabar toda la experiencia del día completo. Graba todo lo que pasa, absolutamente todo. Entonces, como graba absolutamente todo, tiene acceso a todo lo que te sucede, el inconsciente, que es tu parte bestial, tu parte oscura, tu sombra, visto psicológicamente. La parte sobre la que no tenés el control y que te trae el autoboicot. Que hace que vayas por un sendero y de golpe vas y te mandás una cagada que parece a propósito hecha vista desde afuera, pero es precisamente vos mismo atentando contra tu propio progreso desde el inconsciente no educado para que haga lo que vos querés. El inconsciente y los demonios son lo mismo. Es la parte salvaje de las fuerzas de la naturaleza en nuestra mente, expresadas en nuestro microcosmos. Entonces atraemos una parte mental arcangélica y una parte subconsciente demónica que debemos conciliar para producir la realidad proyectada que vemos. Es un engaño colectivo la Matrix porque todos estamos de acuerdo que esto es real. Por alguna función de nuestra maquinaria orgánica podemos interpretar la realidad de una manera y consensuar todos que esto es la realidad material de un universo que todavía no conocemos del todo. Porque redonda o plana la Tierra, con intraterrenos o sin intraterrenos, con núcleo o hueca, estamos en un universo que tiene leyes que todavía no conocemos a completitud. O leyes que están por encima de la comprensión de la ciencia, momentáneamente por lo menos, y así hay que decirlo. Hay una ciencia espiritual, más allá del negocio de la ciencia espiritual. Es la aplicación todos de un mismo mecanismo que podamos replicar todos. Lo que vamos a enseñar en Buenos Aires es eso, los mecanismos que nos funcionan a todos. Es decir, tocamos la que sabemos todos en el fogón. ¿Por qué? Porque está en el colectivo. Y vos, con estas charlas privadas que voy a hacer en Buenos Aires, voy a explicar las cosas que acá no puedo decir de todo esto, pero sí darles un preámbulo del calibre del tipo de conversación que van a tener un día conmigo en Buenos Aires. Fines de noviembre, principios de diciembre para los que recién llegan, gracias. Este es el Sabbath número 69, antes del Sabbath 70, con el último episodio de Magia Anunnaki. Yo casi seguro digo que dentro de 15 días porque vamos a ver muchísimos sellos de generales y vamos a cerrar una parte de la historia del canal para dar inicio, ¿sí?, a otra cosa. Así que ya más o menos hemos dado algunos trailers, así que hay mucho contenido nuevo por venir. Intersticio, descanso y volvemos con la parte final.
Ayer de María, Asunción, Buenos Aires.
Yo soy el guardián del umbral. Siempre estoy en toda iniciación masónica. Yo voy a ser el que te va a impedir el paso al templo. Me conocen como la muerte, uno de los arquetipos más fuertes del hombre. Y en la masonería me conocen como el terrible, porque simbólicamente represento a esa fuerza y voy a despertar tu terror interior para que desistas de poder entrar a la luz. Te voy a llevar hasta el inconsciente, hasta que tu consciente se ponga a prueba.
dicho esto de la ley de la atracción, ya sabes que por el inconsciente las cosas pasan. Volviendo al ejemplo del muchacho, el muchacho quedó inconsciente y llegó la ambulancia y los dos camilleros estaban conversando sobre un asunto sin que tenía que ver con una causa que había un juez dado una suerte de resolución injusta. Entonces uno de los camilleros le dice: ¿sabes qué? Cuando vi esa noticia me sentí impotente. El inconsciente de ese muchacho desmayado grabó esa frase: me sentí impotente. Y automáticamente ese inconsciente grabó en el muchacho desmayado por el accidente: soy impotente. Y desde ese día él tuvo disfunciones sexuales. Es decir, estamos a merced de situaciones aleatorias todo el tiempo, con órdenes en la mente puestas de forma aleatoria, sin ninguna mala intención de nadie, sometidos a todas esas vulnerabilidades, y vos te preocupás por los espíritus. Es decir, aprender a trabajar las leyes universales son los principios herméticos por defecto, y eso es una cosa que se debe compartir persona a persona. Por lo menos ese es mi mecanismo de compartir, sean 20 o sean 2 millones de personas enfrente. Deseo mantener el modelo tradicional del que está enseñando algo hacia otro, para garantizar que siempre este modelo siga existiendo. Un modelo tradicional de maestro-aprendiz. Después van a venir y te dicen: no, pero usted también está aprendiendo por la experiencia de la interrelación. Sí, todo lo que vos quieras. De hecho, si estoy aprendiendo algo, me lo merezco porque estoy dando primero yo, por lo cual ya estoy recibiendo. Por supuesto, lo que pasa es que no ando diciéndolo por ahí con una gratitud que no tiene que ver, mis gratitudes no tienen que ver con esas cosas. Esas cosas son derechos que yo he ganado por derecho propio, ¿sí? Y me tienen que agradecer a mí la posibilidad que les doy de decirles esto, ¿sí? Vamos con la parte final de la ley de la atracción y date cuenta que tu mente es vulnerable a un montón de estímulos todo el día, de cosas que se graban en tu cabeza, que afectan tu comportamiento de forma aleatoria. Tenés mucho potencial, pero estás muy vulnerable. Entonces, tenés que aceptar que hay una parte de vos que atrae las cosas que vos, en tu parte consciente, no querés pasar. El cerebro tiende a agrupar sus neuronas de una manera para pensar de una manera. Es decir, se recablea de formas diferentes el cerebro depresivo que un cerebro que está buscando emprender. Por eso es tan difícil emprender. ¿Por qué? Porque al cerebro, cuanto más viejos nos hacemos, más les cuesta cambiar su forma de ver el mundo, porque está acostumbrado. Entonces la zona de confort es un estado de la mente. La mente debe salir del reposo, necesario, pero debe ser temporal. Si no, se produce estancamiento. Y el estancamiento trae un montón de cosas negativas que no te permiten avanzar en la vida. Entonces también tenés que aprender el desapego de ciertas cosas. ¿Por qué? Porque tenés que aprender a renunciar a momentos que podrías tener para otorgárselos a otros para darles conocimiento. Día 20, día 50, día 100, día 1000, al tiempo que corresponda. No hay apuro. De a poco, cada uno de esos que vayan viniendo a cada una de esas charlas irán recibiendo un conocimiento único, van a recibir una publicación de tapa dura secreta que no puedo decir, su contenido. Sobre todo lo que venga en el primero y segundo día. ¿Sí? En el tercer día va a haber muy pocos ejemplares que vamos a sortear entre los presentes para que alguno se los lleve, ¿sí? De forma justa, porque no van a quedar, digamos, se van a hacer muy pocos para el curso de ley de atracción. Así que prepárense para llegar a la mañana y cuando se vayan a la tarde ya no son los mismos. Vayan preparados para aceptar que hay cosas que ustedes todavía no pueden controlar y que necesitan saber más. Váyanse amargados de mis charlas. Váyanse con hambre. Váyanse desconformes de saber que van a necesitar regresar para seguir sabiendo algunas cosas o ir a buscar a otra parte la información. Eso no tengo derecho a decidirlo. Afortunadamente, por supuesto. Mi nombre es Pablo Barrera, nos vemos en el próximo video, Sabbath número 69, Sabbath número 70, Magia Anunnaki, último episodio. Cerramos un ciclo dentro de Pablo Barrera MagicK y cumplimos una promesa. y tratamos de cumplirla, que ya de hecho lo hemos hecho, así que vamos tranquilos en ese sentido de los cumplimientos, ¿sí? Hemos prometido que íbamos a enseñarle a la gente cómo defenderse del caos y creo que ya lo hemos hecho, con creces. Hemos ayudado a personas en el campo a poder volver a cultivar territorios que eran estériles, hemos ayudado a soldar costillas, a curar personas, todo con magia Anunnaki. Y muchísima gente está practicando magia Anunnaki gracias a Pablo Barrera, MagicK, que no soy yo solamente, por supuesto, Mariela y todos los que conformamos, ¿sí? Esta gran familia del Templo Votivo a San la Muerte, Casa de Yurrey y Doctrina Unificada. Ahora los dejo con la entrevista para aquellos que se quieran quedar, ¿sí? Si ya no se aburrieron, vamos con la parte que gustan, ¿sí? Nuestros suscriptores que son más del Leján Paz, mi conversación, ¿sí? Con uno de los magos que tiene conocimientos sobre Arimán más extensos y originales del Left Hand Path, Kurtis Joseph, ¿sí? Adelante, subtitulada. Buenas noches.
Ayer de María, Asunción, Buenos Aires.
All right, guys, so Kurtis Joseph back again with another video. Before I introduce my most elevated and wonderful guest, just let me to remind you, you gotta like the video, you gotta share it, you gotta subscribe, right? This is free information. This is good information. It helps us out. When you feel led, head over to Patreon and support us there so you can dig a lot deeper into cultivating your own personal power. If you are looking to know more than most of these alleged leaders in the occult community, please go over to kurtisjoseph.com. Sign up for the apprenticeship program. That way you could come out of the other end of that course, well, far more powerful than you are now. But today we have a very, very special guest. His name is Pablo Barrera. Pablo, he's one of my favorite
Finally, finally, we can talk about magic for the public. From years ago, talking about many things in Left Hand Path. From 2016, I think we were talking. Since that year, we were making some messages. Sometimes we were outside of ourselves, out of the orbit of everyone, but it's part of the magic lifestyle, of course.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Yeah. Pablo is one of my favorite teachers.
Thank you for having me. It's all yours. What you want to talk about?
Well, today, man, I really want to touch base on what you call the unified doctrine, first and foremost, because this is something which aligns very much with my draconian current and the way I teach. So if you don't mind, just give the viewers an idea of what the unified doctrine is and how it came into existence. That part especially, what caused this movement to come forth through you?
It comes from a reason. First and foremost, formalities. This is the book. There is a book about it, which is this. It is in Spanish, yet will be ready in English the next year. You will have the premiere for that. So awesome. Your audience, if United States people mostly want to know about the unified doctrine, the book, the release, Joseph surely will know the date of release in English speaking. Well, this is the unified doctrine, the cult of San la Muerte or Lord of Death, to make it more easily to your audience. And the meaning of this is not an entity. Is a God, and have information related to the exploration, including the cliphotic approach of the cult. Is a unification, is the magic in between all magics, mostly our continent. It's intended for the American people. When I say American, I am not only saying United States, I am saying the entire continent. So to speak, it's a framework for developing
any kind of esoteric or mystic traditions for the new world order which is coming and changing our lifestyles, our lifespan, and good situations, many bad situations. The world is changing. So
Yes.
magic should adapt itself to the changes of this new civilized society. So it is time to create a framework to help any hand path to develop the magic for the future. So simple as this, with one Deific mask, which is San La Muerte, the Lord of Death. It means certain kind of, this is contradictory, but it's an approach in monotheism for the left hand path, Deific mask. It means La Muerte, death itself, is something that everybody believes, because everybody, each and one of us, dies.
Yes.
So it's a fact. But death for magicians is quite different, which could be the understanding or interpretation or perception, if you wish, of death, which is indeed doesn't exist itself, but it's a force who controls the powers from the living world to the no man's land. This is a brief of what the unified doctrine is.
Yeah, and you know, Pablo, you're right, because we look at society now and the nature of the world. We can notice how religion, as it stands in the Piscean age, it has lost its grip. We are at the precipice of a new age of spiritual development. But what's interesting is we say new age, but this has nothing to do with the new age movement. What we're actually looking at here, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking at very ancient practices which are fundamental to human evolution in general, not just people from specific cultures. Right or wrong?
Yeah, no, it's right. The preservation of things that should be preserved to make survivable all kind of magic, not just ones, not the Rosicrucians, not the Egyptian classic magicians of many rites of Freemasons. I'm talking about the people from the land who makes magic, because Saint Cyprian said, the people on the lands who make black magic is because they really need to do black magic.
Mm.
So for the land of all of us, the people who walk among the earth, it needs to be preserved, this knowledge, because it's the pathway to unlock the powers of the God inside of us, which is the absolute spark of the absolute, which it has a Kabbalistic property and discretional approach. So we are gods in itself, with a vessel, with limitation of the gross matter, but we are gods after all, and we should preserve this knowledge at all costs.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's very similar. And I want viewers to listen to Pablo here, because especially students of mine, what he is describing as the absolute is something we call the dragon. And within our philosophy, it is said that we are all scales on the body of the one, you know? And people need to understand that this duality, Señor La Muerte, he's beyond it. The Lord of Death, he is beyond this duality. He is beyond left and right. He reaps and he sows. The scythe is not just a weapon to cut the cord of life. It is what separates the wheat from the chaff. And he is also a tiller of the soils of desire. But, you know, it's interesting when we talk about this, because there's so many doctrines that are very exclusive. In other words, oh, you and your bloodline, it comes from Africa, so you cannot study this magic. Or you come from this region, so you cannot study this. What do you feel about that? I mean, is this something that holds merit within, you know, South America? Is it something that's real? Are the gods prejudiced, in other words?
Anyway, I think we should be, one thing is to be united, and one thing is to be unified.
Difference.
Which is different. United implies that we are different, but we join together to reach some goal as a society. Let's call it the United States of America. The union between persons that have different approach to create a common country for evolution of society, etc. Any ideal you want to put inside the text. But unified implies a new kind of magic without destroying what was done before. It means protecting the magic with a common framework magic for all traditions, all races doesn't exist.
Right.
If we were races, we couldn't have childs with a black woman or a yellow woman with a kind of color skin. This is bullshit. If you can have relationships and get to bear the child, this is the same fucking race.
That's right. That's right.
So today, the discussion of race is over. It's 5 hours ago in centuries.
Yeah.
So let's put it together. Secondly, we have something inside as humans, so imperfect, so miserable. Say anything you want about humans, but we have such spark. San La Muerte is upside good and evil because good and evil is required to create a universe of duality because both forces represented, for example, in the Demiurge Samael Yaldabaoth, which has 2 heads. For example, something interesting about the Demiurge in African traditions. There's an saying in Brazil related to Kimbanda, which means magic in the Congo language. This is a cult who works with dead discarnated souls. Such a kind of form of advanced spiritism says a shoe has 2 heads. One is Beelzebub on hell, and the other, Jesus of Nazareth. It implies the Demiurge qualities itself of duality. Some people say, oh, the Demiurge is the bad, good, and the good is Yahweh, is Satan. And always in duality, not trying to think outside like San La Muerte lets you with this kind of practices that we are bringing to the world. Indeed, you can download for free this book. You don't need to buy me this book. You can download from archive.org. I left them for the web time machine because San La Muerte has things to teach to humans. This is the approach of San La Muerte when this kind of spirit took up with us. You call it human because he is the Lord of Death for any race of any civilization from this universe. It's not the God of death here right now and that's it. No, he's the God of death for each race on this universe in many levels of duality.
Interesting. Interesting. Yes, this makes sense. I mean, when we look at, and this is what I really try to get people to grasp, this idea of getting beyond this left versus right. We have to understand that there is an Enoch of the right hand and an Enoch of the left hand. There is an Immaculate Conception that is Jesus Christ, and then there is the Immaculate Conception that is Cain. Cain was born of not Adam and Eve, but Samael and Eve, right? But people refuse to see this because of the convoluted nature of modern translations of very ancient scriptures that were originally written in Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic, you know? So at the end of the day, when you're talking to people, Pablo, about this unified doctrine, and they're really stuck in this duality, how do you approach educating them? How do you tell them, no, listen, what you're saying, though I understand you have been taught this and it makes sense to you now, it is not rational. It does not make sense. How do you approach somebody that is oppositional to this? Because there's a lot of fucking people out there that will call me crazy for talking about stuff like this. I talk about it all the time. So I'm interested to hear your take on this. Do you tell them to kick rocks? Or do you have points that you bring up to point out the rationale and the logic?
Yeah, let's talk about philosophy of these things. in approach of make people think using common daily basics situations. This kind of Santeria and working with discarnate souls from the South American witchcraft, like a complete conjunction of all traditions. Let's not divide between countries. Imagine South American witchcraft itself, just the way Kimbanda, Umbanda, African nations, Voodoo, Hoodoo, Santeria, Palo Mayombe, anything. Let's put it all together. And let's imagine I am talking to a classroom. The first thing I say is the problem is not death. It's not a problem. It's a fact. The problem is oblivion that death brings to our transition between one incarnation to another. This is the shale, Pablo. This is the shale of the Demiurge, Samael Yaldabaoth, and you are talking with him about the future of magic. He's the chief of reality. He ordered chaos and put order using opposites. San La Muerte is the intelligence of God that can see ahead, above ahead from the visions of humans, but is the only one who is ready to work with people. Doesn't matter educational formation, which is bad at the same time, because if you don't have formal education, you lose a lot of capabilities to develop your doctrine in the world. This is a doctrine that doesn't require a church, because it's very quite simple. I am the fucking Lord of this universe, and this doctrine is like a universe B already created, so has its own rules. Anyone can practice unified doctrine, but it's not for everyone.
Yes, I had a martial arts instructor that would say that same thing. Anyone can teach, but not everyone is a teacher. That makes a lot of sense. And you're right. There's some people, they don't have the, and I mean, let's face it, witchcraft is the craft of the wise. You've got to have higher intellect. You've got to be able to think. You know,
you have to go outside polarity of reality itself.
Yeah.
You have to understand that politics is a distraction for your evolution. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have to do.
And this is something that you and I had touched on yesterday, the politics in this community, and we are not going to go there in regard to who or what, but it is destroying magic, the reality of magic and the power of it. And this is, I want my viewers to know, this is one of the reasons I brought Pablo on, because just like the Ordo Dracontia, and in my teaching, he is far above and beyond it, ladies and gentlemen. And what he teaches and what he says, it doesn't matter what the fuck you practice. It's going to open doors of understanding, understanding, you know, and it's going to encourage you to think for yourself and to think outside of the fucking box. People these days within the left-hand path community, as if that fucking thing exists, everyone's at war. There's no fucking community. And that just, I mean, that goes to show how unintelligent people actually are, because we should be unified, taking back our power. Despite what the fuck we're teaching. Now, guys, I want you to keep in mind, think about how many systems that Pablo has mentioned. Rosicrucian, I've been involved in Rosicrucianism. Kimbanda, Umbanda, Voodoo, Kabbalism. He's talking about the things in between. Now, when he says this, what he is talking about is the common denominators that brings it all together. People these days, they want to compartmentalize everything and put it in its own fucking box because they refuse to think. Low magic has to be in this box. High magic has to be in this box. Right-hand path in this box. Left-hand path over here. It's all bullshit. It's just as much bullshit as skin color. There is one human race.
Yeah,
One.
surely.
One.
So why Left Path is a piece of shit today.
Yeah.
Plain
Yeah.
talk.
I mean,
Why all are fighting each other to take the new selfie of the big anti-cosmic writer. I am with this writer of anti-cosmic erotics. I am just like him. The snobism of magic.
right.
It becomes a product. It dissolves art into a political ideology, leftist,
Yes.
which indeed a left-hand path itself is conservative by default because privilege the actions of the self, not the collective. So is both sides. When we talk about left-hand path, we are talking about Satan wanting to retain what belongs to him. No, wait a minute. This is myself. I will not let you use my spark for your purpose. Fuck you.
Right.
On the other hand, you have someone who says, this is the purpose of all God, all that is the same thing at the same time. So this is the duality of magic. Left-hand path becomes places to create foundations and put the Kevlar stuff on the chest to not be killed by some fanatics of Christianity. This is not magic at all.
No, it's politics.
It's politics. So they have destroyed Satanism. They have destroyed left-hand path, child abusers now becoming Mormons, terrorists, a lot of people who want to bring damage to our way of living. We should defend our Western culture. It's it's imperfect, have many failures, whatever you want. Social distractions, stupidity, etc., etc., obscenity with the spent on things that has no any purpose in life, selfishness. This is Western society. It's our society, and at that level, there's no religions because it's about the survival of magic itself in its entirety.
Right. Right.
Sorry for my passion. I entered in motivational mode. I'm sorry.
No, by all means, I'm the same way. I get very passionate and I welcome it. I agree with it. I encourage it because people need to understand that we don't give a fuck about what people think. We give a fuck about truth. And the truth is mankind is very far behind in their evolutionary process. And, you know, it's interesting because San La Muerte, Señor La Muerte, one of the very fucking things that he taught me in the beginning was that there's no difference. According to basic hermetics, as above, so below, as within, so without. Therefore, there is no difference when we are serving self and doing magic to improve our lives. We are also improving the external world because our fucking neighbors don't have to lend us a cup of sugar. It serves them too. And at the same time, when we are changing the world through our magic, right, we are acting as God, and that is spiritually elevating. That is alchemy.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it is unified.
To a certain level or grade of compromise of B to B, we are all together. This is decency of thought. We are menaced by stupidity. We are menaced by ignorance in front of all knowledge available of all times in human history. And on such moment, when magic should be more powerful, we should recover our position in the structure of power. We become communist, or we are separating from all that is because we want to destroy the universe. You have terrorism or too much leftists. You don't have something in between for the people, real people who walks among the earth every fucking day, working, taking a bus, want to develop their lives. Not lying to them to become gods. You already are gods, but you don't know yet. Magic is the pathway, as Palpatine said, to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Is it possible to learn this power? Not from a Jedi, ever. Because take an example of Star Wars for the fan people, which I am a fan too.
Yeah,
Dark side of the Force is dark because protects the real knowledge that as a human, we shouldn't have known ever. So we know now what you are going to do with your tradition. I'm talking not to you specifically, to everyone who is watching this video. What you are going to do to protect. You need a new kind of magic, redesign, which is the Unified Doctrine, will be released the last book, the next December 2023. The 13th of December 2023 releases Gamalkam, which implies the meaning of the word Gamalkam implies the next dance or the next iteration of the Tehiro on a new Sitra Ahara.
Yes. Yes.
The dance is gonna be a start again. So we have a chance to become gods, each and every one of us, of a different new universe. Make your choice.
Right. Make your choice.
Get your tickets now. I wanted to say that. Really?
Yeah.
Of
I mean,
course.
even using Star Wars as a fucking example, it was Darth Vader who brought balance to the Force. You know,
Indeed, it happened.
yeah, man. So, you know, I really enjoy that analogy because I've used it actually quite a bit in my years of teaching. And it's important to understand that, you know, and we have spent hundreds, well, thousands of years. If we believe in the Christian timeline, that Christ was here 2,000 years ago, since then, we have been battling against evil or darkness. That is to shun a very important aspect of ourselves, which is the part of self that allows us to protect what is fucking important. I mean,
Supranational interest.
Yeah, and it's so stupid to try and battle against light and battle against darkness, because according to the most ancient Eastern traditions, and I've talked about this within Black Magic of Ahriman, you know, the twin serpents, Dumar and Dihak. These are in the Vedic traditions, the Ida and Pingala. They are the solar and lunar currents within. They are not at war with one another. They are inclusive and unified, because whenever a light is shined, a shadow is cast. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I really did appreciate that analogy. So, you know, I've got viewers that really grasp this message. I've got students that really grasp this message. What is your practical advice in order to give people insight into how to apply this mindset? Because most of the books they are reading, they are either right or left. How should they approach their work in order to have this more unified philosophy, unified application?
Well, that's a beautiful question, first and foremost. I will speak you like talking on a cafe. You have to need it. First and foremost, desire, even the desire who corrupts the absolute to separate from itself, even before Sin Sum. I'm talking in hermetic approach for the people who really understands too. This is a message for them too, for the magicians, the real faithful magician who practice honestly magic, right here watching your video. There's a lot of magicians. It's more the faithful magicians than the traitors, of course.
Yes.
So, you asked me a question. I flight from the question. Sorry, you can edit it.
No,
you have to edit it again. Tell me the question again, please.
So somebody who is reading books and wanting to practice magic, because there is no Tata, there is no Kimbandero, there is no teacher.
There's no master.
They are reading from books that are either right or left. How can someone who is practicing approach that work while developing a more unified, inclusive attitude? How can they embrace this idea of the unified doctrine in their own work to better their lives?
Better said, which problems in magic resolves the unified doctrine? First, you have to need it. You have to need of what, Pablo? You need to exist. Even after that, you want to preserve yourself conscious, even after death, to avoid the waters of oblivion of the Greeks' magic. When you die, you enter in a place where the beautiful woman, you have a lot of thirst, and you have waters. You drink from such waters and you forget your past life. And it becomes the next pathologies of the next incarnation. So you have to need it, to exist even after death, which already happens for everyone, but nobody knows, or we are forgetting why we are doing magic. To live forever. And it's something that everyone wants to be. Even the anti-cosmic approach, because you need to become to fight the thoughtful light.
Yes.
So this is something you need. If you don't do that, and magic disappears from Earth in hands of some stupids that people think they are magicians or black magicians, we are going to lose the chance to become gods on this timeline. And this is unacceptable on any kind of level of any decent person who has a mindset to think that we are at risk, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
We have become the low caste of the society when we were sitting beside the kings. We have to hide ourselves. Of what? If you are the strong one.
Right.
You are the mind of the kings. What you become? A sect of communists dancing naked and pushing the CNN network in front of the naked people. This is Satanism. Or a crazy man who kills a woman. Just happened yesterday in Ecuador. Found the woman dead, sacrificed to the devil. So this kind of people is destroying magic. And the magicians who understand this message, we don't have too much time to do, because the new world order has already come. And we should adapt to the future.
And that was an enlightened statement, guys. And this is why Pablo's one of my fucking favorite teachers, because he gets it. We don't have time, because all that exists is right the fuck now. And you've got to make that decision. Are you going to act in a way that is divine? And when I say divine, I'm not talking about this Christian idea of God. And I'm not talking about this anti-cosmic idea of nihilism. We're talking about simply doing what creates harmony, because the importance of light and darkness is this. When applied in their proper context, the powers of light and darkness do not create war, it creates harmony. Light always exists right next to darkness. Just like Pablo said, we existed sitting right next to fucking King. We have let what we call left or right take rulership over us, and we have let magic take the back seat. And what people need to fucking understand is life is the magic. Like you said, we have to exist. And the thing is, right now, people are struggling just to survive in the world. When you speak of exist, and I know you, Pablo, you're talking about thriving, not just existing and struggling to make ends meet. It is our fucking birthright as human beings.
It's painful.
And it cannot be found within ideologies of, Democrat and Republican. It's not there. The liberation, the freedom, it isn't there. We
already lived 2 years before.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the country. And each country shows which kind of society they have. What the things that happened before 2 years ago. It's not a matter if you're a Republican or you die. Doesn't matter your political approach. Everybody dies. So, my friends of MagicK, we are already dead because the future is happening in the future right now, right here, right now. This spatiality is what the Cult of San La Muerte gives in ceremonial magic. In this is we are talking about real teachings that I'm giving to the people who comes here to the Temple of San La Muerte in Paraguay. We work together with my beautiful and beloved wife, Mariela Brites, which is my wife. Indeed, this temple is from my wife. I want to clarify it. The Unified Doctrine Temple is from Mariela, my wife, who promised to build a temple for San La Muerte. And it already happened. So I am telling you, we should stay together. Maybe not formally. Maybe it's not required. Right. I'm not asking you join a church of nothing. For what reason? For fundamental needs, someone would need a church to be guided. No, you are the master and the apprentice at the same time. We don't have time. We are in the Kali Yuga.
Right.
Run out time, low time, 30 years maximum gap to prepare ourselves to become the legacy of the future magicians who are listening to us right now.
Yes, yes. Now, Pablo, really quick, I want to clarify for those viewers that might get confused. Pablo is speaking of San La Muerte quite a bit. San La Muerte is, to me, the same thing that Jesus is to a lot of Christians. And this is not the same as Santisima Muerte. It's not the same as Santa Muerte. Pablo, just quickly, go ahead and tell people a little bit about his lore and his connection to Cain, Eshu, etc. Just quickly. You guys can also go to his channel. He's got a few English videos up on this subject, but we have some lazy viewers that aren't that. I just want him to cover it quickly.
San La Muerte is God. Sorry, you want to say something?
No, go ahead, brother. It's on you.
San La Muerte is God separating things. The intelligence who split things into 2 or 3 or any parts, n parts, and separates. This is San La Muerte. He's the sacred curtain between Sanctum and Sanctum Sanctorum. When Jesus dies, the curtain opens from below to above. Who cut that curtain? San La Muerte. Who kills the prime child of the Pharaoh Egypt with Moses? San La Muerte. San La Muerte is Samael, is Gebura, or is Golakab. If you want to put it a little bit of obfuscated explanation, but it's Belphegor shining with the anti-being, which means destroy things in your ego that not let you become a god. This is San La Muerte.
And this is the symbol of the bones. He has transcended the limitations of the flesh, even though he is depicted as a man. But and I find this very interesting, man, because you brought up his connection, to Moses. And you bring up his connection to who cut the fucking veil from top to bottom. This is in the book of Revelation, I believe. He's there in Christian lore. And what did Christ say? You have to have the eyes to see, and you have to have the ears to hear. And this is why you know these things. You know what I mean? Well, and even the Mexican saint, Santisima Muerte, she was brought forth through, there's people that say she came first. I don't think so, because after the first murder, this is sinistral death. But we forget that the first death occurred when we ate from the tree of knowledge. Right? Yeah. This is the first death. So we can look at La Blanca, this is the death of a righteous man. We can look at La Roja, this is the death of someone who is murdered, who dies in a car crash. And La Negra, disease, this is her children. Is there an actual connection between the Santisima Muerte of Mexico and Santa Muerte of Argentina and Paraguay?
Well, make it easy. First, San La Muerte is a male approach to death. Death in action, the action of separation.
Okay.
Santa Muerte is the power and intelligence of death itself, the condition or situation to be dead. It means doesn't exist in the physical form. San La Muerte is Nergal from the Anunnaki space? Yeah. Why is first? Well, there's another tales about this. If the Lord of Death or the Lady of Death. If Muerte itself or the Lord of the Death. Well, in the Anunnaki tradition, that's why we teach Anunnaki magic in our YouTube channel. It's the only channel in the planet who teaches the Simon's Necronomicon. For our belief, our system of belief, Nergal and San La Muerte are the same avatar. And Ereshkigal is the Santisima Muerte. San La Muerte is Mictlantecutli. And Santa Muerte is Mictecasihuatl. So to speak, this is the same energy with different egos of God forms from time, location, etc. So if you want to talk about in left hand path approach, is working with Golakab, which is not Nergal, in exception if you put on Mars here, there on Golakab, but you know you have to work with Asmodeus.
Right.
So it's a Geburaic approach, Kabbalistic discretion for African American traditions. If the African American traditions disappear, we keep the knowledge, no matter the race, at all costs. All conjugates into one single Kabbalistic system. So this is maybe the explanation. I want to extend more.
No, it's a good explanation. You know what I mean? These are the sorts of things that we need to understand. Because these are questions that you will see in many forums that talk about Señor La Muerte and Santa Muerte. There's people that say that they are wed. There's other currents, anti-cosmic currents, that say that they have nothing to do with one another. But I beg to differ. I know better because I've worked outside of that box, you know, with these gods, goddesses. So this unified doctrine is about unifying not just humanity and the various systems. You're looking at actually unifying, how can I put this? I want to choose my words carefully. Reverse engineering what happened at the Tower of Babel, when the demiurge essentially cast us across the face of the planet, separated us by cultures and languages. Why? Because we found the potential to ascend into the heavens by ourselves. Would you agree with that?
The problem is chaos. Yeah, the problem is chaos. The upcoming chaos. Where the stars are in position, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So to speak, just to clarify.
Yes.
And you give me, ask me, repeat me again, because when I talking to you, my mind opens a branch and begin to think again about what I'm going to tell you to give you the more clarified approach. You ask to me again, please. Sorry, I am sorry.
Yeah, sure. So within the unified doctrine, we are talking about not just uniting different races, not just uniting different systems of magic. What we're really looking to do, at least for me, I'm just asking if this is your idea, your vision, are you trying to reverse engineer what the demiurge did at the Tower of Babel when he separated us by languages, by cultures? Because together, as a unified people, we were building towers into the heavens.
This is what I describe when, because I love the several interpretation of what we do. It's very nice, because we are founding a religion, an esoteric tradition, and mystic tradition at the same time, without using the later Kabbalistic system. It means it will not be a cocoliche or a mixture of many religions into one. It's a brand new, with brand new symbols, brand new methods of connection with the spirits, brand new approach to sexuality, which is the older one again. And it's not reverse engineer only to the past. It's reverse engineer towards the future at the same time. Nice approach. I like that. This is a good approach. Thank you for that thinking you gave to me. I'm deeply grateful for that. So
yeah, man, I'm grateful to have you on to talk, because, and you bring up a good point. We're reverse engineering towards the future, and this is the nature of the magical circle. This is the dragon or Ouroboros, right?
It's a new path to get what you want, which is,
we start here, but you know, let's say this is a globe. And a good friend of mine used to tell me this: the further south you travel, the closer to north you get. So there is no fucking north and south. There is only where are you trying to go? And this is what, you know, this is why Pablo's unified doctrine is so important to humanity. We are at the precipice of a new spirituality. And there's only a few people rewriting it. Ordo Dracontia, we are doing it. Pablo Barrera, he is doing it. And without that, what we have is, one moment, the lady is home. Sorry, without the knowledge and wisdom of understanding that the Piscean age is over, we have to move forward. We have to look at things in a new way. We're fucked. You know what I mean? Because when we look at society now, what we need to understand is that our problems, I always teach this. I say that opposition is opportunity, right? Our problems in society with tyrannical systems, a big brother this, and you know, different political systems, all of these problems, you know how we solve them? Unification. We need to understand that it's social engineering, and this is the agenda of what people on the right call the demiurge. God is government. The Christian idea of God versus Satan is just a symbol of Democrat and Republican. San Diablo is just as fucking powerful and important as Jesus, you know, and it's a part of life. So when we can become grateful for each other, for our differences, and understand that our differences are not reasons to go to war, but ways to learn and expand our consciousness. Now we are acting as gods. We are intelligent when we come to understand it. And there's very few of those people in the world. Very few. So without you talking about it, without me talking about it, without there's others, but without that, we're fucked. We're screwed. Because there's too much going on in this magical community, and people are deluded because there's too much drama. People think that they are Marduk incarnate, but they live in their mom's basement, you know? So
I cannot tell you buy 2 cars if I don't have at least 2 or 3. Let me clarify. We magicians, we are not really interested in the power you think you consider power is, because the power people talk about is power, temporal power. We are talking another kind of power.
Right.
So we are talking the ultimate power, which is not temporal, is eternal. Power implies eternity. So we should stay united, maybe in a non-formal way. It doesn't require an organization, requires be attached to certain public common agenda for survival of our traditions, no matter the tradition. We are at risk of disappear or becoming isolated gurus in some places for oblivion of South America or North America, any place. There's a crazy man who makes miracle there from Salda Muerte. And always ends such way. Okay, will not happen again. So Americans, for the Americans first. This is not a political propaganda. Please, let me clarify. It means unified doctrine is for people who was born in the continent of America. Is the America magic, our magic, first for ourselves. We should take care of our continent in entirety. We are first, family first. We was born here on these lands, unified continent. So politics could change against us, indeed. Of course, politicians don't want magicians because magicians manipulate things they don't know.
Oh,
so
yeah.
They look patchy are not the fucking problem at all. Always the problems of society happens in the middle command spaces. So unified doctrine works for the, which is the temple of unified doctrine, each individuality following these instructions to reach new levels of knowledge into magic. So simple as this.
Yeah, man. I agree completely with that. You know, it's the traditions themselves, we've got to remember them because this is why we are here, our predecessors. And you're right, they don't want magicians because truth be told, we are actually the ones who rule this fucking world, not them. You know, not them. And there's very few people in this world that can get beyond Maslow's hierarchy and the bottom of it. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For those who are not aware of that, this is like Pablo was talking about existence. At the bottom is food, shelter, and a pot to piss in. Then there is sex. Let us not lie, because sex equals reproduction and the continuity of the human race. Then there is social interaction with friends to build a society. But here's the issue, guys. Within society, what happens at that point is through socially engineered agendas. Instead of us coming together, we are torn apart. We are torn apart through religion, which comes from the Latin word relegare, which is to constrain or bind to belief. And what Pablo teaches is not about blind faith. What I teach is not about blind belief. This is about getting fucking results. Building a better fucking life. Yeah.
Contrary reality, how much money you have in the pocket after saying all these arcane things.
Right.
Have a family with 5 children. I'm
right.
a father. So how to be a black magician together with a father and Salamortero? It's our way of living.
No. No, this way of living, and this is what's funny is, and I teach people all the time that life is death. We start dying the moment we are conceived.
We don't really know we are alive.
Yeah, you better become friends. You know what I mean?
If you understand what I understand, we should not be separated. We should know because both wants the same. Keep existing, and it doesn't depend of the ego, depends of the conditions for our pathways. So unified to have a new system for working magic without compromising and preserving your traditions. And that's it, my friend. This is the unified doctrine. Is a revolution of the self. Happens only in 1 meter surrounding you. This is the temple of San La Muerte, you, because you have bones, just like San La Muerte.
Right. I agree, man. And that's a wonderful message. And it's one that I have gotten flack for, speaking with, you know, specific people, specific practitioners. They covet Santisima Muerte, and they say because of the color of my skin, I cannot work with her. But the thing is, my friends, Santa Muerte has taught me a lot too. And this is not the same, again, let me clarify, but her three-colored system, you know, white, black, and red, these are the three phases of alchemy. You know what I mean? And we cannot deny it. Has Santa Muerte taught that to everybody else? Yes, by having these three colors as her robes. But these people that are supposedly the only ones that can work with her, they do not know this. Why? Why? Because they are not willing to be unified. They are not willing to be properly spiritual. They are not willing to be dead because, like you said, we're already fucking there.
Well, there's a reason for that. There's a reason, there's a political reason for that. Despite you leave aside Mexico, indeed, they need each other, of course, they need each other for many reasons, not only commercial reasons. But the Santa Muertero indeed is more jealous to keep their knowledge. You have to remember that Argentinians, because I live in Paraguay, I am married here and I live here in Paraguay, but I'm from Argentina. The Argentinian race, or lineage, if you say, begins from many cultures. So our blood is the perfect mixture, like no any one other country in Latin America, in exception of Mexico, which is autochthonous mostly, mixed with Spanish. But in our case, we are mixed with everything. So we don't have the idea to not to share to you things. The problem is there's certain things that if you don't have the daily basic practice of Kimbanda, for example, you will not understand how it works. So you need to experience personally, in personal form, yourself here. To learn things that cannot be written or telling because it's passed through the experience of Kimbanda. And you understand such powers implies control over open and close anything you want in reality. These kind of powers.
Yes.
And belongs to all Americans. We should use it for our benefit.
Yes. Bring on the Abre Caminos.
No, Eshu. I prefer to use the term Eshu. Eshu means a sphere.
Yeah, no, yes. Let's speak on that because we look at San La Muerte or Señor de la Muerte, Señor La Muerte. He's got something beyond his own, what's the term? Culto privado, the closed cult. His
holographic layers of San La Muerte.
Yeah, he moves into this area of Kimbanda, Santeria.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about him. You can approach him as a Kimbandero, as a Santero, as a ceremonial magician. This is very much like you're describing Argentina, you know, because it's a conglomeration of unification. And this
we are fucking everybody.
Yeah. So what is his connection to Eshu?
Eshu is, what answer do you want? A simple one or a complex one or both?
We're here to educate. Let's go ahead, man. Elaborate, man. You're the elevator.
Eshu equals Asia, the word of action. Eshu is action of Asia itself in all fucking Asia. It means it controls all the movement of the universe as we know it. This is Eshu. San La Muerte is Eshu too. Why? Because Eshu is the gatekeeper of the in and out that San La Muerte managed when someone dies and goes to the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
But not only opening life and death, opening anything or closing anything.
Yes. Yeah, and for those that don't know about these Afro-Brazilian traditions like Umbanda, Kimbanda, it is based on specific lines, specific kingdoms.
Yeah, lines and kingdoms. For example, I don't use hierarchy names like Tata, Baba, etc.
Right.
I am, in English translation, could be, my title would be a saint man who managed more than 7 lines.
Mm. Yes. So Eshu as a concept, as a divine force, he opens those lines of potential and possibility in your life. And
oh, don't ask such question, because I could say, what if there's a relationship between the origins of Harriman and Eshu, which his name is Alubaya. This is his proper name, Alubaya. Why? What relationship could have Harriman and Eshu? If you want to let your audience know, we could say it if you wish. If you want to talk about Eshu in Kabbalistic level, of course. This is talking about Kimbanda in Kabbalistic level, of course.
yeah, man, I think we should touch on that. Because a lot of people are not going to understand the connection of Ahriman and that specific entity. But
please don't worry. If you don't, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, let's don't do that. No worries.
well, when we look at Yalta this is a Gnostic god who has a lion head. And we cannot deny the etymological connection to that force, Yalta, who is considered, to some Gnostics, he is evil. To some, he is good. But again, this is this duality of left and right. It just does not exist. But later depictions of Ahriman show him sitting or standing on top of what? The world, with what? A lion's head. And he's holding what? A torch with what? The serpent wrapped around his body, right? So within artistic depictions, we can see the connection. Now, Ahriman is considered the origin of all evil in the world. But the connection to Eshu is that without evil, there would be no movement.
Remember, wait a minute, I have my child. Wait a minute, please. No lo tengo yo, hijo, el celular rojo. El celular negro, toma, llévale a mamá el mío. Toma. Llévale a mamá el mío. Ahí está. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, buddy. So, like you were saying,
no worries. Sorry if I make you feel bad or uncomfortable. I didn't want to ask you something to make you feel uncomfortable in any shape or form.
No, not at all. But Eshu being this concept of action and movement, it is evil that has created this. It is not evil according to our own modern standards. It is what causes movement, action. Because without death, without Señor La Muerte, without Ahriman, without, you know, Nergal and all of these forces, there would be fucking nothing. So
they are gone.
They separate us. We all, in reality, are one, scales on the body of the one dragon. But Ahriman, even Señor La Muerte, to an extent, says, but you are cells within this one body. You are still individual cells. You all have your individual jobs. And if you do not do your jobs properly, the world goes to shit. And that's why the world right now is going to hell in a handbasket. I use that proverbially, you know, but it's an interesting topic, an interesting question, you know. But let us think about this idea of AN. There's some people that think that nothingness is liberation.
That's nothing inside.
Right.
People think that nothingness or eternity has nothing inside, which is wrong. Fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's the source of all things. It's what I call the womb of the dragon. Right? It is this empty space, like in Chinese traditions, they call it Wuxin or no mind. In the Gnostic traditions, it is gnosis. A lot of people, they say gnosis, it is the dialogue, the teaching that you get from a spirit, but it is not. Gnosis is a way of being. Gnosis is to transcend thought by entering a state of an empty mind and to enter a state of knowing. And this is how mediums and traditions like Kimbanda, you've got some people who practice and they can get possessed lickety-split because they reach this state of no mind. Others, they cannot be mediums. And that's why, you know. So yeah, man.
Kimbanda is the magic of the mob. You have to be dirty. It's a dirty magic. Puts you into the elements of nature. It's the Nigredo and Albedo and the Rubedo at the same time doing things, which produces results. Using spirits, sometimes dead bodies, the discarnate souls, and sometimes demons, or anything available at such moment to commit the result. Eshu is neutral. Has in common with Ahriman one thing. It's in Ifa law, the law Ifa, which is in Central American Antilles, the rule of Ifa says that Olodumare, it means Keter, said, I didn't create Eshu, but he created all the Irumole, which is the Orishas in the Sephirotic level, to explain with Kabbalistic terms. So both are previous to creation. They exist before or in fully potential to being in funds of the opposition of the limitation that the light's thoughtful light brings to reality. I want experience. I want to go back, motherfucker. It resumes the idea. Eshu is the partner or the enemy at the same times. Can transform you into vices, into bad moon risings, etc. It's a very dangerous, near to the skin energy. Of course, I am a channeler of my own Eshu and my own Pomboshira. My Pomboshira is there. You see in black, which is my Maria Padilla, Rainha das Marias el Sechtalir. Yes. This is her name, which implies the queen of the seven lyres or liras, the instrument, the musical instrument of the lyre of David. Well, it means the discarnate spirits who comes from the line of David. That's it. Yes, very powerful. Now, when we're talking about Maria Padilla, we are talking about a very complex force too, because I am connected to Das Almos. What does this mean? Of the souls? Das Almas, Maria Padilla das Almas. Yes. Queen of the cemetery. It means is the wife of San La Muerte, because San La Muerte is the king of the cemetery, is the major cross of any cemetery on the earth and in the waters. The little cemetery, povo, or people of spirits populations, was in certain places, because these incarnate souls are stuck to such place for any kind of reasons in their past lives. They should repair their mistakes working for Eshu as a Egunde Eshu. It means a soul, discarnate soul of a human working for the Eshu radiation, which is previous to the creation of anything on the universe. So the comparison is between they were increated, autogenic existence. That's the little comparison between Eshu and Ahriman. This is one the only coincidence that exists in both gods.
Right, yeah, that's understandable. And you know, I think our Eshu and Pombagira, they are spiritual ancestors in a way. You know, like people oftentimes ask me, why are you so connected to these death currents? You know, Santisima Muerte, Señor la Muerte, and you love working with this Tata Caviara. Well, it's because they are my family.
Your ancestors ask you to do this job. This is the job of your ancestor that should be complied.
Yeah, right. And that's why I do not listen. I do not listen to people. I listen to them. And that's why I have favor. And that's why I'm still here. You know, I'm still here because I comply.
Like Morpheus said to Neo in Matrix, the second movie, Matrix, in the elevator of the Merovingian. All things happen because it was the ways to be. Why? Because we are still alive.
Yeah, man.
Something like this.
Yeah. Definitely true. But
yeah, in this interview has no fucking end.
None. I mean, we could get into deep discussions for fucking ever about this stuff, and we'll probably have you back on at some point. But you know, I really think that Pablo is so important for my viewers because he is really trying to offer this knowledge and wisdom to people for the sake of aiding the evolution of humanity. His idea of alchemy is not just the transmutation of self. It's about changing the fucking world. And there's not enough people they don't have the balls to at least push themselves to try. Nobody has balls.
They have fear.
Yeah. They're afraid to write what has not already been written. That's all I do. That's all you do.
Will never happen. Don't worry.
Yeah. They're afraid
all things that doesn't belong to the bad treatment of real knowledge. Right. Having all the knowledge available is madness, stupidity, unacceptable. Yeah. We have not to do something. This work is not for us. It's for the gods. Right. Don't let the gods die. American Gods series. Don't let the gods die. This kind of battle is the battle that we are fighting for.
That's right.
Superposition of all possibilities for everyone in each grade of evolution, each person. Some understand this word, some others don't. They will get bored. Some others will clarify themselves, and some others will get in opposition. It's a natural movement of reality. No worries about that.
None. No worries. I'm still worried. No.
No, please. Stop there. And I don't know if you want to ask me something else.
No, brother, no. I don't want to keep you too long, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Pablo Barrera, we will probably have him on again very soon. At the end of this video, I'm going to have him send me some links to any social media, books that he may have written. And definitely, we will announce it here when his texts are available in English. It is going to be a required reading for all of my direct students. So look forward to it, guys. Pablo's stuff is good. I have even translated one of his texts by my goddamn self. And he says things that not everyone's going to say. I appreciate you coming on, brother. It's been fun.
Okay, thank you for having me. A pleasure to talk to you. And of course, whenever you want to continue discussing these such arcane things, And let's do your audience thankful salutations. Have a nice day to everyone who is watching this video, and hope to be helpful for them in some way or another.
Yes, yes. All right, brother. Cool. We will talk again soon. You have a good night, man.
Bye-bye.